She thought he was just the janitor, invisible, forgettable, someone who didn't belong. So when she saw him walking the halls alone after hours, she picked up her phone and whispered, "There's a suspicious black man in the building." What she didn't know is that she just called the cops on the owner. And when the truth came out, the fallout didn't just change her life. It exposed everything that's wrong with the way we judge people by appearances. Who was he really? And why did this mistake cost her everything? It was just after 7 p.m. when Claire, a newly hired office manager, stayed behind to finish paperwork on the 12th floor of the firm's corporate building. The lights in the hallway flickered with the eerie quiet that only after-hours silence brings.
If you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a moment that matters.
Most employees had left except for one man. She had seen him earlier in the day. Dark hoodie, quiet demeanor, pushing a cleaning cart. No name tag, no conversation, just there. Something about him made her uneasy. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. And now she saw him again, this time walking into the executive lounge. Her fingers stiffened around her coffee cup. What janitor had access to the executive floor? Who walks around alone in silence when the building is nearly empty? Her mind raced, drawing its own conclusions. She reached for her phone. "I don't mean to cause alarm," she whispered to the dispatcher, "but there's a black man here, in the private wing. I don't think he should be." What Claire didn't know was that this man didn't just belong there. He owned the building. The lounge, the floors, the very keycard that granted her access to her job. All of it had his name stamped in the legal deeds. But she hadn't asked. She hadn't greeted him. She just assumed. And now, 2 officers were already in the elevator, responding to a call that would become national news before midnight. The question was no longer who the man was. It was how far her assumption would cost her, and what the man would do when he finally spoke. As the elevator doors dinged open, the sound echoed like a drumbeat through the empty 12th floor. Officer Reynolds stepped out first, hand on his belt, followed by Officer Martinez, scanning the quiet hallway. Claire rushed to meet them, her heels clicking nervously across the marble. "He's still in the executive lounge," she whispered urgently. "I told you. He looks like he doesn't belong here." The officers nodded. No questions asked. No requests for details. Just assumptions. Inside the executive lounge, the man stood calmly near the window, overlooking the city. He was tall, dressed casually. Jeans, hoodie, and a quiet confidence that didn't match the image Claire had described. "Sir, can we speak with you?" Officer Reynolds said sharply. The man turned slowly, calm, composed. His eyes locked onto the officers with a stillness that made even Martinez pause. "Is there a problem?" he asked evenly. "You don't have authorization to be here," Reynolds replied. "I think you're mistaken," the man said. Reynolds stepped forward. "Let's not make this difficult." The man didn't flinch. Instead, he calmly pulled out his phone and tapped a few times. Just then, the lounge door creaked again. This time, Mr. Harper, the senior partner of the firm, burst in, out of breath. "What is going on here?" Harper demanded, eyes darting between the officers and the man. Claire stepped forward quickly. "I called them. This man was in the restricted area. He's a janitor or something. No badge. No ID." Harper froze, and then his face turned pale. "Claire," he said, his voice dropping. "That's Mr. Elijah Brooks. He's not the janitor. He's the owner of this building, of this company." The room fell deathly silent. Officer Reynolds stepped back a full foot, his hand slowly leaving his belt. Martinez looked like he wanted to disappear into the wall. Claire's face went white. Elijah didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout. He simply looked at the officers, then at Claire. "You assumed a black man in a hoodie couldn't be a CEO," he said. "You called the cops because I didn't fit your idea of ownership." Harper tried to interject, but Elijah raised a single hand. "Don't. Let them finish their job." Now all eyes turned back to the officers, who suddenly looked deeply unsure of what that job even was anymore. Claire's voice cracked as she stammered, I didn't know." Elijah's stare never wavered. Calm, sharp, unshakable. "That's the problem," he said. "You didn't ask. You just assumed." The security team arrived moments later, not to escort Elijah, but Claire. Harper looked helpless as Elijah turned to the officers. "Gentlemen, I'll handle this from here. You can go." The officers nodded and left without a word, shame heavy on their faces. Then Elijah walked to the center of the lounge and addressed the remaining staff. "I bought this company not just to build equity, but to rebuild culture. What just happened today is exactly what I came here to change." He looked directly at Claire. "And I won't tolerate racism hidden behind policies or concern. You're done here." Claire's mouth fell open, but no words came. She turned and left, head down. Word spread quickly, not just throughout the company, but across social media and business networks. A CEO of color wrongfully accused in his own building, and handling it with strength, grace, and zero tolerance for bias. Elijah didn't hold press conferences or seek revenge. He launched an internal review, retrained staff, and replaced outdated policies with progressive ones. And quietly, a culture began to shift. People started looking twice, not at skin color, but at character. Not at hoodies, but at heart. This story didn't just change one company. It ignited conversations across the industry. Because sometimes the most powerful response isn't loud. It's undeniable. Small orange diamond, what if we all looked beyond assumptions? Would we see the real people standing right in front of us?